guys, I'm gonna show you guys how to replace the brakes on the 2012 Kia Optima. First step to do this is removing the tire. You see I already got my impact gun ready, my socket ready. So let's go ahead and remove the tire first. Alright, next guys, what you guys want to do, you guys want to remove the two retaining bolts right here, this bottom one, this top one. And if they start spinning, then you put a wrench right here in the inside part. There's like a little nut, and then you loosen it and it should come off right easy. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. Then once we take the caliper off, we're gonna take the bracket that holds the brake pads inside. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Alright, now that we have removed the two retaining bolts from the caliper, we're gonna go ahead and take it off. And we're gonna go ahead and move it to the side. Want to make sure that the brake hose from the caliper doesn't stretch, so put it somewhere where it's not gonna fall off and stretch the hose and rip. Then what you're gonna do is remove the two retaining bolts from this bracket right here. Want to make sure that this bolts right here slide easy in and out. If not, you can take them off, put some grease on it. So let's go ahead and remove these two bolts right here, and then we can remove the rotor. Alright, now to remove the rotor in these cars, you gotta remove these two Phillips screws that you have right here on the side, and there's an impact screwdriver that you can use for it. If they're not too tight in there, then you can remove them with the regular screwdriver, but you gotta remove these two in order for the rotor to come out. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. Alright, now that we've removed our two Phillips screws from here, we're gonna go ahead and remove the rotor and throw our new one in there. Alright, so we got our new rotor right here. We're gonna go ahead and put it on. You want to make sure that these two holes right here line up in the position where the screw is. Otherwise, when you try to put the Phillips screws in there, it won't line up. So I want to make sure that it's in the exact location. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put these two screws back right there. Two Phillips screws. They're gonna hold your rotor in place while you put the rest of the components, the bracket and the caliper, back in place. I'll go ahead and put this on right now. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure it's nice and tight in there. There's one, and there is two. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and put our bracket for the caliper back on, and there our caliper. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Alright, so now that we put on the bracket for the caliper right here, these two retaining bolts, we're gonna make sure they're nice and tight in there. And if you got new shims for the brake pads, you can go ahead and replace them. If not, you can leave the old ones in there. You might want to put a little bit of grease on the bottom, just slightly, so the brake pads can slide in and out smoothly, get a better braking sensation on there. And once we tighten these two, we're gonna go ahead and mount the brake pads and then the caliper on top. Alright, now that we have our bracket on, I'm gonna go ahead and put our new brake pads on there. You want to make sure they sit there nice and tight. You got your wear indicator right here in the brake pad on the back one. You go ahead and put your front pad. Now they're there. We're gonna go ahead and get our caliper, and we're gonna push the piston back in place just so we can get enough room to fit it in here, because since the new brake pads are a little bit thicker, the piston comes out, so you got to push it back into position before you can insert it back in place. So for this, we're gonna go ahead and use one of the old brake pads. All right, now to push the piston back I'm gonna use one of the old brake pads, put it in between my caliper piston return tool right here. We're gonna push the piston back into position so we can get enough room in between to fit into our new setup right here with the brake pads. So we're gonna go ahead and twist this in, and you want to make sure you go slowly. Also, you want to make sure you open your brake cylinder on top, open it up so you can get enough room for the fluid to return without causing any damage to the seals and your brake cylinder seals. So you're gonna go ahead and twist it and push it back slowly as you can until you get to the bottom. All right, now that you have your piston pushed back all the way to the back, now you can go ahead and mount your caliper onto your bracket. And let's go ahead and set it into position. Then you're gonna get your 2 bolts. Put your bottom one first so you're not carrying it. And then you put your top one right here. Alright, and to tighten it, the same principle is gonna apply. If you see that the bolts start spinning as you're tightening, then you want to put a wrench in the back, and the nut in the back. That'll stop the bolt from spinning, and then you can tie it how it's supposed to. So let's go ahead and tie these 2 bolts right here. Then once we do that and straighten out the wheel, put our tire back on, and we'll be done with this process. Hope this helped you guys a little bit, get an idea how to replace the brakes on this 2012 Kia Optima. Most of the brake systems, front braking systems, are similar, so you should be able to get a good idea. If they're not the same, they will be similar, so you'll be able to do it in most of the front brake systems. All right, so there it is. As you can see, it was pretty simple. Pretty much you had to remove about 4 bolts, 2 bolts from your caliper, 2 bolts from your bracket retaining that caliper, not counting your 5 lug nuts on your tire. You want to make sure those bolts that go on the bracket, they're nice and smooth coming in and out. If not, you can remove them, put some grease on them, make sure they slide nice and easy. You also want to make sure you top off your fluid to the max level on your brake fluid cylinder, and pump those brakes. Once you're done, make sure they're nice and hard, so your piston can push against the brake. That way your customer doesn't go into an accident as he drives out of the shop, or you. To make sure everything's nice and tight after you're done. When you first install your rotor, we want to make sure it's nice and clean. They usually have this liquid on them to keep them from getting rusted, so you want to make sure that it's nice and clean. Otherwise you might have squeaky problems when they break. You might have a customer return, or if it's your car, you might have issues, so you have to take everything apart and put it back together again. Alright, so hopefully this video helped you guys, maybe save some money or help out a friend, or if you're gonna do it, you know, for money, you can go ahead and do it. I guess just make sure you do everything nice and professional, keep it clean, keep it organized. And this is gonna be all for now, so we'll see you guys in the next one.